Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy Benton with the Chris and Sandy Show. We get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I say on every episode, we got a great show for you. We got Peyton Gilliland coming on. She's doing some great things out there. She just released her first single, and we're excited to talk a little bit
Yes.
about that and talk about some of the projects that she has coming up and a little bit about her story and some music. So, Peyton, welcome to the show.
Thank
Yes,
you guys for
welcome.
having me.
It is definitely our pleasure.
It is.
Um, so, as you know, it's tough right now out there in the music world. So, how has COVID affected what you do, and what have you done to kind of maneuver through this crazy new maze?
So for us, COVID actually kind of hit at a convenient time. Um, because we didn't, as a band, we didn't like we're very brand new as a band. We haven't been working together for very long. So we took the opportunity of this time that we've had to ourselves to just hunker down and really practice and get our live show put together for when the world opens up and we can actually share it with everyone.
Yeah, that's like with us. We launched the show in January 2020, so a couple months before COVID,
Yes, couple months
Yeah,
before the
that's
and
so
pandemic.
difficult.
and we had no idea what was coming, of course, with COVID. And our original plan was to do 100 interviews our first year, and we thought that if we did that,
Like, wow, that would be a lot.
you
Don't know
know,
if we can pull that many off.
and we thought that'd be a great foundation. And then COVID hits. And
Hmm.
as I'm watching the music industry shut down, I saw that, okay, this could be a blessing for our show.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because booking people sometimes when everybody's busy is really tough.
right.
And I was like, you
Everybody's
know
just
what? With
sitting
everything
at home.
slowing down, they're slowing down. We need to speed it up, and get
Oh,
Exactly.
and
yes.
just go all out. And because of that, we ended up doing over 300 interviews last year.
Wow, that's awesome.
Well, yeah, we didn't even know if we could
Yeah.
do 100, and we do
And we
300.
did three.
That's
Yeah,
crazy. That's awesome.
But it's definitely been a crazy time.
it has.
But I think that there's a blessing here that a lot of people don't realize. Also, with artists like you, a lot of people they're doing the live shows online and
Hmm.
and making concerts out of where people pay 5, 10, 15 bucks for live concerts. Well, I think the future is going to be you'll do a live show with your live audience and you'll
Right.
still add that part in it. So now your online world can participate in your live world.
That would be super cool too.
So you're getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Tech has always been there. We just never knew
Yeah.
it. So so a lot of hosts would ask, when did you know you want to do music? But I always like to go deeper than that. When did it click that this could be a career for you?
So that's a great question, especially to phrase it that way. I've been doing music. I started singing in church when I was like 6 years old, and it's kind of just been like muscle memory up until last year when I really like we had our first live show, and that's when it really just hit me. Like it was right before COVID, and just to see people and them be reactive to like my music was so crazy, and it just really switched something in my brain, and I was like, man, I love this, and I could really see myself doing this for the rest of my life.
I love that. And, you know, we're doing great. See, that's just what I'm saying about StreamYard. We can have guests
Yes.
actually
Interact
interact
while
with.
the show is live. Yeah. We love that.
And this didn't exist not long ago, so it's pretty
Yeah.
cool that we can do something to where it's almost like a talk show live at a thing where you have
Right.
guests interact, and you could actually have guests interact.
It's
Yes.
so cool.
So, what are some hobbies you like to do outside of music?
So actually, I'm an equestrian. I live on a farm, which has been great during COVID. We've got, I think it's 45 acres.
Oh,
And
wow.
so
Wow.
my mom used to be a horse trainer. So I've been riding literally all my life because she used to do shows when she was pregnant with me. So, but actually, this morning before I got on this interview, I was feeding the horses and all those kinds of things. So, and as soon as we're done, I'm going back out to feed horses and ride horses. So,
That's
that's
awesome.
definitely, yeah, those are my two big things in life is music and horses. I love those
Wow.
Love-
a lot.
So, what
Yes.
would you say is something quirky about you?
I'm terrified of feet. I hate feet.
We've actually had several artists say that exact same one.
Yes, we have.
So
I cannot stand feet.
That's been a little bit of a common answer.
and
Yeah, to
it's
that
good. This
question.
question has been one of our favorite questions to ask because you just
Yes.
never know
Yeah.
what's going to be said
Yes,
on
we
that
get
one.
the best answers.
Now I changed the wording a little bit for guys, but I don't ask a guy what's quirky about you. I ask a guy
Right.
what's unusual about you.
Right.
Yes, same thing, just different
But
wording.
kind of same thing there.
Yeah.
So, as you know, a lot of people they see the struggle. I mean, that's the glory of a Blake Shelton, of a Miranda, of a Carey.
Mhm.
They don't see the struggles, the sacrifice, that it takes to not just to get to their level, but even to a career level within music. And I always want to talk about that side of it because, as you know, nobody really talks about that side. They almost sugarcoat it, so people step into this crazy arena of music and they think, "Oh, I've got this great voice." I've got this great charisma. I'll make it. There's no big deal. And we want to show people that, you know what, even you can have it all and it's still tough. And I'm going to tell a quick story that kind of helped guide us where I want this to go. But back in 2014, we interviewed Allison Steele from Two Steel Girls. And at that time, they were a mother daughter duo that was full time with music. And I remember asking Allison what advice she'd give an up and coming artist. And I'll never forget what she said. She said, "This is going to sound funny coming from someone full time, but if you can see yourself doing something else, go do that and just keep music as a hobby." She goes, "Because the moment you want it to be a career, everything has to change. You have to, you know, you're all in. Your friends and family never understand because they invite you to weddings, the cookouts, the weekends, the holidays. But when you're in that grind mode, you have to say no to everything almost that's not
Yeah.
music related and yes to everything that is. And so they don't understand a lot of times on that. Then your family has to sacrifice. They have to give you up to the world and be willing to share you with the world and kind of get the leftovers where the world gets the freshness of you.
Right.
But then she added, but if you cannot see yourself doing anything else, then go all in. Is the only way that those kind of sacrifices could ever be worth it. What do you think of what she said? Let's talk about that side of it.
Well, what I will say too is like, especially, I mean, I used to think the same thing is when you look at artists who are big like Taylor Swift and all those huge names out there, you kind of think, man, they've got the easiest job in the world and it pays so well. Everybody wants to go sing on stage for, an hour and get paid millions and millions of dollars. But what you don't see is all the things behind the scenes. Like these people are doing press tours, they're on
Right.
tour for months. They don't see their families, all these things. It's really not as easy as it looks. And when you're starting out too, it doesn't pay well at all. You're doing lots and lots of free gigs where you have to pay your band and you're not getting
Right.
paid, and it's definitely a hustle and it's a grind, and it's there's nothing about it that's easy. Plus you've got people telling you no all the time. Like you reach out to do these things like, hey, I want to play this venue. You're going to get turned away. I mean, you're going to get yeses too, but those no's are hard, and you have to get used to being told no.
And social media has made no's that much more worse because now you got trolls.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
As a young artist in yourself, how do you handle that side of it where you do a live stream or whatever? You have people pop on there and just be mean. How do you handle that side of it?
Actually, I haven't, not that I've noticed, I haven't had to deal with that much just
Oh,
because
that's
I'm
Oh,
like,
awesome.
that's good.
yes, I'm so grateful for that. But mostly because, I mean, I don't have that big of a following on social media yet. So, I mean, my Facebook is my biggest platform, but I haven't noticed anything, which is great. It's fantastic
Yes.
because I know I've heard a lot of big creators say that those petty little comments can really hurt your feelings, even though it's a stranger. Like, but I haven't had to experience that really. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, we do have, you just go to chrissandyshow.com and all of our guests are right there.
Yes, you should.
But yeah, it's definitely a crazy world out there when you count the trolls and all that. And, people can be so mean. And so what inspires you to go rise above everything, and be who you are?
That's a really good question. So another thing you have to kind of worry about when you're an artist too is the people who you work with. The people who are going to give you opportunities are going to try to put you in a box, and you have to say, nope, I'm going to be true to myself. And that's a really hard thing to learn too, because you know, some of us just think that everybody has their best interest at heart. Like I'm one of those people, but I'm lucky that I've had a great team, and I've just been really blessed. And I just say, like, really just stay true to yourself. Think about what you need and what you want, and go for those things, and don't really listen to anybody who tells you otherwise.
Yeah. Now that we
Yeah.
talked about the negative side of music a little bit, let's go the other way and talk about the glory side. When you look back on your career so far, what are a few moments where you're like, wow, I got to do that?
Definitely all the live shows I've done. So far I've only done 3, but there's just something about live music, especially this last show that I played. It was an outdoor venue, so we were able to safely social distance and have people wear masks. I
Oh,
think
that's.
it was last week, so that was the
Mhm.
first one that we've done, and
Oh, wow.
it was really just the atmosphere of everything, because it was not only my first show, but all these other people haven't been to shows in a year either. So the energy was just incredible. Everybody, you could just tell everybody was so happy to be able to, have a little bit of a sense of community and see each other face to face, even though we still had to social distance and things like that.
Yeah. Now, I don't mean to put you on the spot here because I forgot to ask you beforehand, but were you going to
Yes.
perform for us today a song?
I am not prepared to do
Okay.
that. I don't have a
I forgot that. I usually ask the
Yes.
guests beforehand, and I was like,
Yes.
"Oh man, I forgot to ask." Because you just, again, I never know
Yes.
unless they tell me,
Right.
and sometimes guests do are prepared, and I forgot to prepare you
Right.
for that.
That's
Yes.
okay.
So that's okay. So
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about your current song.
okay,
Yes.
so the song is called Empty. It's just as sad as it sounds. It's funny because usually my songs are very like girl power, like watch out, I'm gonna get you type of thing, like more on the pop rock side.
Yeah.
And this one was very emotional. It was really emotional and a lot slower. It's pretty much just acoustic guitar, and it's about being in love with someone and giving the relationship everything that you have, and just
Right.
noticing
Oh,
that they're not reciprocating, and that there's really nothing you can do about that. No matter how much you put into it, you can't make them put that same energy into it. So it just kind of leaves you drained and tired and sad and empty. So yeah.
Yeah.
so tell us about your next song coming, "Not Bothered."
So Not Bothered is the complete opposite of Empty that just
Because I
came
was
out.
reading that, I'm
It
like, I
is
bet that's kind of the opposite.
it
Yes.
is absolutely the opposite. So it's kind of like the stages of a breakup. At first, for girls at least, at first you're really
Mhm.
sad and heartbroken, and then you're like, why am I sad? Look at me. Like, I got this. Like, let me just go prove to this man that I never needed him in the first place. So,
Mhm.
you can kind of guess from the title, Not Bothered, that it's about, well, I'll just tell you what it's about. So, it's about, I don't know if anybody has like any experience with this. I'm sure people have, but, when you're done with the relationship and you notice that the person who's your ex is posting all these things on social media to get your attention. Like maybe
Yeah.
it's he's posting pictures with all these girls and going to parties and stuff like that. And you're like, it's funny that you're posting all that to get my attention because I don't care anymore. Like you just
Right.
make yourself look, desperate.
Exactly.
And again, is what social media is a great tool to use, but boy, it can be a backstabber too.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
yes.
So, what do you think is one of the hardest things with social media for your generation of rising in music?
I kind of was talking about this the other day. Like, I think personally that everybody should have an outdoor hobby because
Mhm.
nature is just so healing. It is
It
so
is.
peaceful and all that stuff. So, but I feel like um I feel like people use their phones too much and stuff like that. So that's one of the downsides of it. But at the same time, like during the pandemic, it's been a really great way to connect with people because we've been, stuck inside with not really much socialization. And it's kind of our only way to do that. So, but yeah, those are kind of a good and a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Square Table says, I barely remember names at this point. I guess that's because we bring so many people, because we interview people almost every day, sometimes twice a day, but usually every day, 6 days a week is kind of the plan.
Right.
Yeah, that's a plan right
And,
now.
we're getting probably close to 400 interviews since January of 2020.
Wow.
Yes,
That's
close to that.
awesome.
So, it's been like sometimes it's funny. Sometimes we have to see the person. Oh, okay, I remember that interview now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you know, a lot of people, they see the artists, but they don't see the teams behind the artists. And I always think that they don't get the love they deserve.
They
But on
don't.
our show, they do. And I don't care if you have a team of one or a team of 300, like Justin Bieber says he has. A team is a team. So if you want to take a few moments to tell us about the team that helps you be who you are.
So, first and foremost, I call her my emotional support human. She's my hair and makeup artist. Also, she shoots all of my content for Instagram and all the socials and stuff like that. I have only known her for about a year, I think. Her name is Chrissy Yoder, and her husband are amazing. They do content stuff, and she does my hair and makeup, which she wasn't able to do today. So you were left to my skills, which are very minimal. But I love her so much. And also my band. My band is fantastic. I have my vocal coach, Jamie. He's amazing too. I'm just so blessed to be surrounded by so many amazing people who just are so kind.
So tell us a mom story, because I know she supports you big time in this, and there's probably hundreds of these stories. But
Yeah.
think of one that really stands out, to where your mom went above and beyond, and you're like, "Wow, she gets this is my passion."
I can remember one, and this is pretty funny. So, my parents are moving to North Carolina,
Mm.
and they had, this was, I think this was like 2 or 3 months ago, and they were meeting some of their neighbors, and they made friends with one of their neighbors, and they were at their house, and my mom calls me and FaceTimes me, and she's like, "Hey, meet these people. I want you
Oh,
to
well.
sing for them." And I was like, right now? And she was like, "Yes, I want you to sing for them right now." And I was like, Okay." So I just sang for them, and it was probably really bad because it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I hadn't had time to, like, I had no idea that it was going to happen. So, but I was like, that just is one of those things that I think back on, and it makes me laugh.
Wow, I love that. A lot of times, you have to be careful asking that question. I always like to make sure there's a connection there, because some parents don't agree with what the child is, and I think it's so sad because, and I think,
Yes.
and of course, I think a lot of times, parents, they see the Blake Sheltons and they see the broke person on the street. And they don't realize within the music world, there's actually so many levels in between, that there are people making 50, 60, 100,000 a year, and you'll never know their name in music.
Yeah, that's true.
And I
It's
think
not
that's
just,
why,
yeah,
because they're not popular, they don't see that.
right,
So they think, oh, only the few make it. And that's just not true. There's so many people that's living their own dream.
right.
They're not living the $1 million dream, but they're living their own dream. And that's
And
really what it's about.
there's so many other like jobs within the music industry that's not just artists. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, there's vocal coaches and musicians, like people who play instruments and all kinds of things. There's all kinds of little like musical lawyers, and there's all kinds of little jobs inside the music industry, that it's not just reduced to people who sing.
And speaking of teams, we have a third co-host, our little
We
9-year-old
do.
that we let come on and ask a few questions. So Sandy's gonna go get him.
I will get it.
And we've got a 2-year-old daughter that when she gets older, she'll be plugged into the show too, because we are a family affair.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can't imagine having it any other way. There's a lot of careers you kind of can't involve your kids, but if you can, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
So what's some of the things that you and your mom do together?
So horse riding is one of the things that we've always done
Oh,
together.
wow.
So that was her passion, and she kind of like brought me into it at a very young age, and
Mhm.
I ended up loving it just as much as she does. So we just, have always
So,
done it
so
together.
her passion rubbed off on you.
Yes, absolutely. Hi.
Hi, Peter. What's your favorite food?
My favorite food, pasta or sushi.
Mm. Oh, wow. What's yours?
Mine is pizza.
Oh, pizza's pretty good.
Right up there, right? And he could eat it all day long.
Oh, he could. Yes.
What's your name?
All right. What's your favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? That's a really good question. Probably that 70s show. That one's always
Oh,
been my
wow.
favorite.
Ah, that's a good
And
one.
what's yours?
Mine is SpongeBob.
Oh, I used to watch SpongeBob all the time.
Yeah, we have to watch it over and over and over.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen every episode, I think.
And he watches a lot of Nickelodeon shows, and it's been cool that we've been able to bring on a lot of the people from Nickelodeon onto our
Oh,
show.
that's awesome.
So he's good. Yeah, it's funny. To him, it's just normal to have people that he sees on TV or hears on the radio to talk to him.
Right.
And for Sandy and I, we're like, we wish we had that when we were growing up.
Me
Yes.
too. Me too.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
And so if you could co-write with any person, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you want to write about?
That's a great question too. I would have to say probably Adele,
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's a good one.
and we would probably write about something sad because
That's her
Adele.
specialty.
That's her
Yes, it
That's
is.
Adele.
Yes.
I love that. Now, this question probably have about 1,000 answers, but just think of the first
Yeah.
one that pops in your head. But what is a song that you've heard that you wish you wrote?
Okay, that's a great question. Probably the latest song that Noah Cyrus put out, that August song, or
Oh,
Dear
wow.
August. It's so good. I love that song so much. Also, pretty much all of the Julia Michaels songs. I love
Oh,
Julia
yeah.
Michaels so much. She's awesome. Lennon Stella, I mean, it goes on and on. So there's lots of really great music. And the music that I listen to is like, it's everything pretty much. Everything. You could think of everything.
Everybody has those few embarrassing moments in music. What's one of yours?
Well, the one that comes to the top of my head is I was at Soundcheck Nashville and we were rehearsing, and it was the first day that we got to use the room that has a huge stage on it.
Mhm.
Like most of the rooms are all the same level as the floor, but this
wow.
room has a giant stage on it. And we were rehearsing like the intro to my show, and in the intro of my show I run up on stage after the band has already done the intro, and I join them before the song starts, and I started to run up the stairs and I just face planted, and it's on video somewhere. I've got to
Oh, wow.
share it 'cause I haven't
Wow.
watched it since.
Well, I guess you're in good company because Biden just did that the other day.
Oh,
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
yesterday.
Yesterday,
On Air Force
on Air
One,
Force
the
One,
steps
and that's
up
what he was
to
doing
it.
was running up the steps. And as you know, your foot goes slips, and
And then he
You
kept
go-
trying to like catch himself, and then
so you're in good company. Huh?
I
Yeah.
feel his pain. It was pretty funny though.
And when you look at a lot of the artists and all that, how many artists do you know that you've watched videos and they went right off the stage?
oh,
Yeah.
there's several. Yeah.
I'm lucky it wasn't that bad.
Yes.
Most definitely. So in 2015, we interviewed Kelsey Ballerini before she was
Oh,
Kelsey.
that's really cool.
Yes.
And one of the questions I asked her was where she wanted to be in 5 years. And I always like to tell this story before I ask the guests that same question, because the answer she gave us back then is almost to the T of what she's living right now.
Yes, she had it all
That's
planned
really
out.
cool.
I mean,
That's super
she
cool.
knew where
Mhm.
she was going, and nothing was going to stop her, and apparently it didn't. So knowing that, where do you want to be in 5 years?
I've gotten this question a few times, and my answer is really simple. And I always say this. I just say I want to be rich. Which is not true. I just say it as a joke, which I mean everyone
Yeah.
wants to be rich, but
Yeah. Got it.
that's not all I want for my life,
Yeah.
obviously.
Right.
The answer to that question is probably the real answer is probably I would love for my music audience to grow because I
Mhm.
really want for people to be able to hear my songs and things. I love to be able to share it with the small audience that I have now, and I just think it'd be really cool to share it with a bigger audience and more people and all those things.
And speaking of the money, it reminds me of that song, and I feel like we're living that right now. Is where the part of the song talks about I could make $1 million or wind up broke, free and easy down the road I
Dirk
go.
Bentley.
And it's like like with us, our podcast don't make money yet.
Right.
One day it will, but so
Yeah.
we're putting in 40+ hours a week into this, not
Right.
knowing when that breakthrough will happen for the show. And so we're like, sometimes I tell Stanley, either we're going to be rich or we're going to be poor, but one way we're going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have
exactly.
high
And
hopes. Like
But we have high hopes.
And
Yeah.
I know exactly how that goes because I'm in the same boat. I haven't had a paying gig yet. So, but yeah, so yes, I feel your pain there, but just know that it's all going to work out for all of
Yeah.
us. So,
Absolutely.
And that's why I
Just have
think,
to
and see,
persevere,
that's why
not
we
quit.
love having artists on our show and actors on our show because
Mhm.
we're going through the same thing that either they're going through right now, like yourself, or that they went through
right.
before they made it big. Because
Right.
again, in the creative space and even in the business owner space, you go through those lean years.
Right.
I don't care who you are. If you made it to the top, you have a lot of lean years,
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
and you're
Yes,
just
it's
paying that
part of it,
price.
part of the price. Yeah.
And you just got to kind of outlast everybody, so to speak, because as they say, the last man standing wins, within the entertainment
Oh, and
world.
like you talk
Right.
about the pushing the boulder,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
Up the hill.
And
Yeah.
it's almost like you're pushing this boulder up a hill, and you're pushing with everything you got, and it's big, but you can't see around the boulder because it's so big, so you can't see the top of the hill.
Right.
And if you try to look back, the boulder will come, you'll lose momentum.
Yeah.
But you keep
Yeah.
pushing until that boulder finally gets to the edge. And then when it goes over, you can jump on it and run down it until the next mountain.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point where you never really know when that success is going to hit.
Right.
So,
And I think that's why a lot of people quit
yes, that's part of
too
what makes
soon.
it so difficult for sure. For sure.
Because, I think COVID has been a game changer for a lot of people because I think that people had to really, in 2020, look at themselves and ask, is this really what my passion is? Because
Right.
it really was a gut check for a lot of artists.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's very true.
And you're still here.
Yeah. It was funny at that show that I was talking about, the one that we just played, my guitarist Ryan, he was like, we finally get to do our jobs again. And he was right. We're finally getting to do our jobs again. And it's really fun. It's really exciting.
Awesome.
Oh, we're so glad all of that's finally coming back. Yeah.
Me too.
And we're planning on next month finally visiting Nashville because we're planning on
Yes.
moving there eventually.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're definitely excited to eventually be part of the Nashville, because that's
Yeah,
one
the
thing.
music scene, yeah.
Our show started out as a country music show that eventually became a music show, which now it's an entertainment interview show. But our contacts have always been Nashville. That's always been our core at the beginning. So, and their family. That's something that we've learned about Nashville.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
It really is like a family there.
Absolutely.
And if you've got Nashville friends, you've got friends for life from what I've seen.
Yes. Yes.
So now let's look 15 years down the road. Let's say that you're a success on a grand scale. Whatever that looks like for you, you're there. If the person you are today could meet her, your future successful self, what would you want to remind her?
I don't know that I would remind her anything. I think I would ask her a lot of questions. Well, one thing I would definitely remind her of is the horse thing. I'd be like,
Oh,
well, if
yes.
you have a bunch of money, you better have bought a bunch of really nice horses.
Oh, love that.
I love that.
Yes. Okay. If you could go on vacation anywhere in the world, where would you want to go?
I've always wanted to go to Santorini, Greece.
Oh,
Oh,
me
It
too.
looks
That's
beautiful
on my
there.
bucket list.
It looks
Yes, the
beautiful.
pictures look
Yes.
amazing. Yes. And if you had to describe your music to someone who's never heard it before, how would you describe it?
It's pop, but it's very rock leaning, except for Empty.
Ah,
Empty is very
yes.
sad and acoustic, but the majority
Right.
of my songs are very like female empowerment,
Love that.
pop rock.
Right. And what would you like for your legacy to be as an artist? What would you ultimately like to be known for?
I would want for everybody who's met me to say that I'm kind.
Oh, that's good.
So as we come to a close here, um, let's say you had a friend of yours and you heard him or her sing and they've got something special. As Simon Cowell would say, they have that it factor. But they've played only 40 or 50 shows, so they're still getting their feet wet on the performance side. Now, this would be pre-COVID advice, so keep that in mind. Um,
Right.
but they've gotten on stage and they got what every artist says, that stage bug where they look over the crowd's roaring for them. And they just know they're in the right place. And they come to you and they say, Peyton, I know I'm supposed to do this with the rest of my life. What advice would you give that specific person to kind of help guide them the next few years?
That's a really good question. I think in that situation, it's very beneficial to just go to a place where you can meet a lot of musicians. For
Yeah.
me, that's Nashville, and just make as many connections as you possibly can, and then play more gigs, but play gigs in the right places. That way, you can get the right eyes on you and things like that.
Definitely love that. So as we come to a close here, tell everybody how they can reach out to you.
So you can find me anywhere on any social media platform at Peyton Gilliland Music, and come say hi. I'd love to talk to people.
I love that. We really enjoyed having you on the show today, and we look forward to having you back down the road.
Yes.
For sure. I'll sing for you guys next time.
Oh,
Sounds good.
sounds
Sounds like a
great.
plan. And if you
Yes.
ever want to do a Facebook takeover,
Oh,
you know,
yes, we're very open
we
to
can
that.
let you do that if you want.
That's a
Yes.
cool idea too.
So just keep
Yes.
us updated.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
You have a great
All
day.
right.
Bye,
Thank
you too.
you. Bye.